Check.
Ooh.
Check.
What's up, everybody? Can you hear me? Oh my God.
All right. Check 1, check 2. Welcome to the Cannabis Coffee Hour. With your host, me, Rob Cantrell. Oh man, I got an exciting episode, a dope episode. We are at a coffee shop, variety coffee shop in the Manhattan, in the island. I'm hanging with a good friend. She is an awesome comedian, awesome writer, awesome actress. She also has played in 2 bands that I want to talk about. Tigers and Monkey and Ultra Baby Fat.
That's right.
Please give it up to Shonali Bhowmik, everybody.
Thank you, Rob. Let me just tell you, and you know this, but seeing you is always a highlight to any day that I see you. So getting to be with you on your podcast, I feel so honored, so happy.
Shonali, I feel the same way about you. You inspire me. You are fresh, musically dope, comedically funny, and out there. But you also have your shit together. Like Shonali is a musician. You can go Google her up. She was on one of the best sketch groups in New York when I was around in the early aughts called Variety Shac, which was like 4 really funny girls, and Shonali was also a musician that toured with David Cross on his first album, or second album.
His first tour, like rock and roll tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember that stand-up album, and he has a bunch, but I think that's like his best one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a time, it captured a time in our lives, like all about roughing it and doing it, you know, sleeping on floors and just hanging and getting shit out of our system, you know? It was a really good time.
Rock star for real. But you also have a law degree, so
that's true.
You can't mess around with this chick. But at the same time, no, she lived the rock and roll life.
That's
like you
true.
did all those cool little rock clubs, played a massive, you have a great guitar, you can play and sing on tune, which is very hard. We talk about this.
Yes.
And playing at the same time, playing a guitar and singing at the same time is so hard.
Thank you, Rob, for recognizing, because that's something that people don't know, that like doing those 2 things at one time. I mean, when I first started to put them together, I remember just being like, first it was sitting down and playing and singing, and then it was standing up and doing those 2 things at one time was a whole other world.
No, I've been playing bad guitar for like 10 years. I played violin when I was young, but I was forced to do it, so I shied away from music. I just ran.
Oh, you would be a sweet violin player, I know.
Yeah, I rock the Suzuki method like you don't even know. We had free lessons at the public school in D.C. It was on Saturday morning. I had to go for 3 hours.
Jeez.
This is like the early 70s. It was like the city program that you could send your kid for free, and it was like classical violinists.
Oh, you were so cute. Did you have a big fro back then too?
Oh yeah, my hair was crazy.
So
it was
cute.
Crazy 70s. I was hanging out in alleys and running around on a bike and playing the violin.
So cool.
But I've been playing bad guitar, but I love a Bo Diddley beat. And so I do a Bo Diddley, and then I try to sing, but it's so hard. Like, I just started with a simple rhythm, but then I tried to sing with it, and it's like, and I've been doing stand-up for a while before I started really like kind of pushing forward on it. And it's just massive respect. It's 2 different things.
Totally.
It's timing. It's and then you have to do performance.
Right. That's a whole other thing.
That's a whole other thing.
And you do stand up, that's even a thing. Like there are stand-up comedians that just stand totally still. And many of them are amazing doing that. But it's also because it's not easy to move at the same time and just be yourself. Like it's like a whole thing, and that's the same with performing on guitar and singing. It's like you start out thinking like, oh, I'm gonna be like Eddie Van Halen, whatever.
Yeah.
You're gonna be David Lee Roth. Like that's, and meanwhile David Lee Roth's not playing guitar on stage. Not that he needs to, because he's amazing.
He is amazing, but it is, vocals and guitar playing are 2 different
run around
brain things.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, it's that thing, once you actually attempt to do the things that your idols do, and then you're like, oh man, they're talented. Like, you realize how hard it is.
Yes. Oh,
everyone else sits down in their freaking couches and judges and is like, I could do that. Well, try it.
Yeah, that movie sucks. It's like you try to get 200 people together and pay their bills and get them on set on time and shoot everything. Same thing with stand-up. Specifically, I shied away from stand-up until I was 27.
Wow.
Because I knew it was going to be so hard. Like, I knew in my heart. I was like,
you knew
I wanted to do it, but I just knew. And guess what?
Yeah.
When I started doing, guess what?
It was
harder.
It was harder than you thought.
Harder than I even dreamt it was going to be. But it was even a bigger rush. Like, I don't know. I do love performing.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say is I've been doing it for 19, 20 years now, and I'm always still scared.
Right.
And I still don't know what I'm doing when I'm up there. Just the other night, I did 2 sets. I did a benefit. I had to warm up. I hadn't been on stage for a week and a half. And it was like I started all over
again.
Yeah, it is just weirdest fucking thing.
I was telling you that, you're a pro stand-up. I'm an experimental stand-up. I love it.
You're a pro. You could rock it.
I love it. I love just getting things out, trying new things. I think it frees you up in every aspect of your life, no matter what.
It's very noble. I've downed it a couple times, but now that you're talking about it, you're getting a lot of stuff out. But all art's like that.
Right.
And it's all kind of hard and weird.
You were just saying, I hadn't performed. This pandemic really shut me down. We talked about this,
same.
Paralysis, and then with Trump, with freaking George Floyd, with a pandemic, that alone was exhausting and really hard.
Yeah.
And then I lost my dad. I told you that.
No.
I lost a brother-in-law, which is incredibly crazy tough. And in my head, I was like, how do you get back on stage again when all this seemingly important stuff is affecting you? But the fact is, what we do, no matter how often we might be self-deprecating, be like, it's ego-driven, the fact is, I love seeing you perform. I love seeing people on stage. I love seeing people try new things out. I love being in small rooms where I'm the first to see a new band that's not huge. I want to be there when they're figuring it out. That turns me on. So, and vice versa. It's like, I have things to say. Why not? Own that space. Take it up. Whatever. People inviting me to do shows, I'm going to do it. So I got on stage 2 nights ago for the first time in stand-up for 3 years. And I mean, like you said, I think I was so scared that one of my friends said they walked by my apartment, they saw me in the window. I didn't know it. They were like, you look like an animated superhero up there. She was like, what were you doing? I was like, oh shit, I was doing my stand-up. I was rehearsing.
Shit, you were doing your judo up there. Totally. I get it. And you're taking it serious. No, 100% respect, because I know how hard it is. And as long as and you're talking to a dude that's bombed a ton, right? Bombing just sucks. It hurts. And especially if all the trauma that you just went through, you definitely don't want to be up there super bombing. You can bomb a little bit, but you don't want the super soul, oh, my back hurts. I might,
exactly.
give it all up here in a minute. But
exactly.
You don't want that shit. But, so you took it serious.
I took it seriously because I was like, I'm not getting up there.
Like sometimes I'm like, I'm not gonna smoke any weed. I'm gonna write this shit down. I'm gonna listen to my old sets. That's kind of my dancing.
We have to, right? I mean,
you're going to battle.
You're going to battle. First time, not doing it. I mean, over time, you build up your muscles again, and this is with music too, But I've got to build up my calluses again. Yeah. I mean, I've had calluses since I was 15, and I remember a time, I was like, I will never not have my calluses. That's a lifelong, the dents in my fingers. And this pandemic, I got soft. I mean, I did perform the other night, but it's like, for me, it's like a war wound, a battle scar I'm proud of,
you're a real musician when you have, mine are kind of calloused up. I try to do 10 minutes on my acoustic. I've been doing the Grateful Dead, which is just a Bo Diddley 2 thing, but I like that.
That's good.
Yeah, I use it to get off my phone, stuff like that. That's what I kind of use guitar playing for. But you're the real deal, and you're from Nashville. So
I'm from Nashville, yes.
Which is the hottest and hippest place right now. But it used to be just like country music, business, and small town southern stuff. Now it's kind of gotten a little
It's
LA,
like the hot city. Yeah, we call it Nash Vegas.
Yeah,
you know,
Nash Vegas for sure.
And like, it's for me, like I'm Indian American. For those of you probably could tell by my name, but my parents immigrated from India. They went
That's backstory. I love India and I love meditation and I love East. Keep going.
Yeah. So they came to Nashville. My dad was a professor there. My mom owned a business. My house is the house I grew up in. So Nashville is an extension of me, and most people wouldn't believe that until like you could hear my Southern accent. But
yeah, you got the Southern vibe.
I love being from there, and music, definitely. I knew it was in me. My parents loved music, but the fact that I had a community of friends who had guitars as little kids, who had studios I could mess around with as a kid, all those people are still my friends. And we were definitely kids that were like, oh, we're rockers, we're punk rockers. Like, we sort of believed Nashville was too small for us because it was just country music. But at the same time, we dug old school country, right? My first doll was named Johnny Cash. I named a little clown doll that was my favorite doll, Johnny Cash. My parents are from India. I mean, they bought me some Johnny Cash records, but it just shows you how it's in you.
Yeah, it's in you. You're the real deal. And I was talking to somebody the other night, and I am a little bit biased in terms of music, and I love hip hop, and I think New York is like the birth of hip hop.
Yes.
But the thing about the South is the music, like a percussionist from the South, you get a Southern drummer or a Southern rhythm guitar, like it's a pocket, it just swings, man, because everybody's so laid back and it cuts into the music.
Thank you.
And so rock and roll and country is very rich and soulful.
Yeah.
And Johnny Cash was definitely one of those that cut like a knife, whether you hated, like, because we remember cheesy country, Alabama was big.
Yes.
Which also, they had a couple good cuts.
Yes. I mean, that's crazy because my best friend who I grew up with playing music with, her dad wrote Love in the First Degree, which was the #1 hit by Alabama. And
yes, it was. That's a great song.
And his name was Tim Dubois. My friend's name is Michelle Dubois. She's still my best friend in the world, and she's in Atlanta, which is where I started playing out. We were from Nashville. I went to law school in Atlanta.
Right.
And that's when I was like, you know what? Let's start, like, what are we doing? We have talked about this for how long, so let's do it. So she came to Atlanta, and then we just stuck, and Atlanta embraced us. Such a cool scene at a time where I told you, like...
Yeah. No, you girls knew how to play. That's what I picked up what you just said.
It's true.
And Atlanta is a great, awesome town, but even at then, the art scene is only so big. So if you know what you're doing and you can come to a town like that and make a splash, that's so much fun. I came up and started stand-up in San Francisco.
Wow.
And so the first 3 years, I started really making a splash towards the end.
Right.
I played the Great American Music Hall, sold it out.
I played there. That's awesome.
Isn't that place awesome?
Yeah, I did that with David.
Oh, you
Cross.
did David Cross.
Yeah.
This was just right after, like, this is when I was still local, but I got on Last Comic Stand, which was that big show.
Oh, yeah.
But the clubs wouldn't book me because I was only 3 years in, and I was not on a Hollywood grid.
Yeah.
But this jam band guy booked me at the Great American Music Hall, and I remember that being just such a dope venue. I love all these venues.
That's what I mean.
In Nashville, what was what venues were you playing in Atlanta?
So in Atlanta, it would be the Earl, which is still around. We also had the Echo Lounge, which is closed down since then, but it opened then. And then the bigger places are like the Variety Playhouse and the Masquerade. We opened for Pavement. Like Pavement's one of my favorite bands.
Pavement's
so
great.
when we just started out and got asked to open up for them, and PJ Harvey at the time, there was
cool.
It was like at the time we just started, and we we're going to play with the bands that we love. You know what I mean?
Because I'm not as heavy alt rock.
Yeah.
I don't know my stuff that deep. I know the Pixies. I know the first album. I know about Jane's Addiction. Pavement was great. I know it was like industrial, kind of Nirvana-ish. What was their? No,
they're more like college. They're like
REM.
They just now REM's made. So Pavement did like the King's Theater and sold out 3 nights, right?
What is it?
Pavement.
Yeah. They were a big '90s band.
And so they just now did a tour like 3 months ago, 4 months ago. It's been sold out everywhere. Better than ever. It was so good. It was.
And you went to it?
I went. I was like, oh my gosh! But yeah.
Did you get backstage? Because you know the old school.
You didn't hit him up. I didn't hit him up.
You can hit him up, but sometimes it's like you go hit up.
Did you know of a band called Urge Overkill?
Yeah.
So they remember they got that big hit Sisterhood of Vanna, and then they had the Pulp Fiction cover of Neil Diamond, the Girl.
Yeah.
You'll be a one.
That was by Urge Overkill. Yes.
Yeah. So that's a band that there's so many. The thing about rock and roll, and it's comedy too, is like you meet your peers are your heroes, and you're like getting to play with them and do things like all the things as a little girl where I was like, one day, I was into Duran Duran when I was a little girl, right?
Yeah,
and then next thing you know it, I'm coming to New York, I'm getting a record deal. Our A&R person's like, oh, I have to do, her name was Lisa Robinson. She's still a legend. She's amazing. Lisa's amazing. She was like, oh, I have to do an interview with Nick Rhodes of Duran Duran. You want to come? And I just remember, this is my best friend. She and I had dreams of Duran Duran when we were teenagers, we're like, yes. And those little things, no matter how nerdy it is, those little things are what makes life fun. You don't get over it.
Trippy, yeah.
It's
I get what you're saying.
Hanging out with Nick Rhodes at the Waldorf Astoria having peanuts, and like him talking and asking us questions about our rock band. That's the thing I dreamed about when I was 16. You know what I mean? 10 years later, I'm 26 and that's happening. You know what I mean?
That is dope.
It's so fun. Rock and roll is how I got to comedy, right? But that time that I would share with you is like the beauty of humans that didn't have computers to nonstop keep us in freaking rabbit holes. We had to go out. We had to be with each other. And the only thing you could do is make music to do things together, right? You're either watching bands or you're creating music. And the scenes were so tight across the country, at least in the indie rock scene, right? Urge Overkill was opening for Nirvana on that first big tour. That's what I remember, I remember when we saw them play with Dinosaur Jr. It was just awesome. I was like, I want to know them.
Yeah, I love Dinosaur Jr. I don't know my stuff, but I know my Dinosaur Jr.
Yes.
Yeah, I know good cuts.
That Urge story was just to say later on, we would be opening for them, right? Even Tiger's Monkey, they're my Ed, they're my friends, and Ed's come to my shows.
What is that feeling like?
Let me just tell you.
You go on opening for them, and it's the hippest shit ever.
Here's the thing, the little things, when they're good people and they're cool to you and they are supportive of you, that thing just changes everything. When you're sitting there and you're like, I remember this. I did a show in Connecticut. My guitar string broke. And this is the Kip Winger solo era. So it was like, where's Kip Winger's playing on this festival? And my string broke, and Kip Winger comes up, and he's like, here. And he takes my guitar to go fix the string. And I was like, that's the nicest thing ever. This dude came out of nowhere. And the same with Urge. Oh, I'll help you move your amps. I'll do this. God, there's so many good people that I've met. And I also think, especially in music, as much sexism exists everywhere, I've never been around so many supportive men that treated me so well and continue to support me as artists than the people I met through music. The rock and roll talented humans, it's just so awesome.
Yeah, it is a lot of artistic people.
Right.
And you have to be sensitive. When you're an artist, you have to be sensitive because that's how you just learn about shit. And especially, I would say that 90s and especially Nirvana, there was kind of a feminism, there was kind of respect towards women, whereas in 70s rock and roll is it's the dudes, we're gonna get chicks.
Right.
But then kind of punk rock kind kind of busted open a lot of those
Yes.
kids. Joan Jett.
She's amazing.
Who's like the best females coming out, like that kind of kick the doors open of all rock? I would say, who's the bassist for Talking Heads?
Oh my God, Tina Weymouth. She's amazing. She's amazing. And that's one of, I think that seeing the Talking Heads when I was a teenager was probably one of the best shows I've ever seen. Next to seeing every Van Halen show when I was a kid. I went to every Van Halen show. Talking Heads, that was
chick is funky.
Yeah.
That song,
Tom Club.
That's the funkiest stuff.
Yes.
You can't get funkier than that. I've heard that at every hip hop club. It's been sampled a
so
million times. Mariah
good.
Carey made it into like this huge pop.
It's so true.
And it's just from that great bass line.
That's
just a
right.
soft singing in the
Yes, it's so awesome. But you're right, like that grunge era, even though that was like the grunge movement was a thing of dudes, but from it there was like this emergence of all these women in like the Breeders, like Kim Deal, she's amazing.
I saw L7 play
Pixies.
open for the Beastie Boys, L7.
Oh yeah, L7 was amazing.
They were punk and I liked that.
I feel like you brought up the Pixies, and I feel like Kim Deal was like the person for us to be like, who is that woman in the coolest band ever?
Yes.
And that, I mean, I'm
Sonic Youth. Who's the chick
Oh
from
yeah,
Sonic
Kim
Youth?
Gordon.
Yeah, I always thought she was cool.
Definite.
And they had a good vibe.
Definite.
Yeah,
That's a band I used to see all the time.
Really?
Yes.
You saw them live?
Oh my God, so many times in every city I lived in, Nashville and Atlanta. Like I was in it. Like that's
rock and
that's
roll.
the scene. Yeah, it's
scene.
like those are the peeps and all of the musicians that I met through that. Like we're still friends. We're still playing. I'm gonna play till I'm 90. I've told you.
I know. You look great. You can play great. You sound great.
I think when you set your life up with this, like, you can't take me down. I don't care what you say to me. Oh, you didn't play, Madison Square Garden? I really don't care. Like, my friend Ted Leo played Madison Square. He was like, nobody could hear me. Nobody cared. You know what I mean? And it's like, my thing is, that's not why I do it.
No.
And it's like, I've always thought, that shit will be funny and awesome to be 90 years old on stage with some cat glasses and this old grainy dress, whatever. I'm probably
But
not.
even having a bass in the living room, electric bass, I dream of having an electric bass and a little orange amp and just play with that.
Dude, you gotta do that right now.
I know, but I got an eye on a beat machine that I want. It's a Roland 404. It's this little mini thing.
That's awesome.
We gotta do some music.
Yeah.
I put out a little musical album. But myself over the pandemic of old cuts, and then I cut in some new ones.
Yeah.
I was going to drop just a little, not this, but Atlanta, my rock star moment. I got to play the Fox Theater with Mitch Hedberg.
Oh, that's awesome.
And talk about being cool.
Oh,
He's the coolest.
Why wasn't I there?
I don't know why you were there, because that was a different. Like Mitch was like on that David Cross alt scene, but he wasn't really an alt comic, and he kind of had his own like following.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of bands, like the Strokes were backstage when we played New York and stuff like that.
Yep.
So, and then my other one was, you're right about the little things. Because something I'll always take with me, and he wasn't that, like, we didn't have a relationship or anything, and he definitely warmed up to other comics, but it was like 3 years in, I was doing stages everywhere in San Francisco, and I went to the Good Stage, but it was at midnight, and it was a great show, but it was a lesbian bar.
Oh, okay.
It was a midnight show on a Wednesday in the Mission.
Okay.
And I would go, and I was smoking bowls, running around doing comedy in all these coffee shops. I lived in a hostel for like a year.
Wow.
Doing the nice, I lived, in terms of being from the street, I lived on the street. It was all strip clubs and dealers.
Wow.
But I was just comedy. I wasn't partying, I wasn't doing anything.
Just going and doing clubs.
I just dropped everything and just went all in, and it had a dope scene. But this is the thing. I was there, and Robin Williams showed up. And it's me and Robin Williams backstage at a gay female lesbian show.
Awesome.
Rocks. And I go on or he went on and I was going on later. And like he kind of showed up and just like smashed the place down.
That's
But I remember just being backstage. And I had like 2 words with them. But it was a big deal because, you know, I watched that first special with my dad when I was young. He passed away when I was young. But it was like, it was a special moment.
To be.
And then to get into a place where you're kind of following your dreams. And you get into this surreal moment.
Yes.
Like, oh, that dude.
Yes, and we are connected. I feel like those, I mean, that thing, just even when you're talking about David, like that, our friendship started. He came to my show in Atlanta. He was front and center pogoing while we were playing Ultra Baby Fat at that time. And I was just like, dude, that's David. And we had just been on the road and we were just capturing Mr. Show episodes while we were on the road, and we're like, that dude's funny.
Yes.
And our bass player at the time, somehow she knew Dino, who was a writer, and she was like, David's from Atlanta. I was like, what? And next thing you know, he's at our show. He comes up. I was like, hey, we connected immediately. I was like, do you want to do a tour? I'll get our booking agent. We're going to book a rock and roll tour. And that documentary came from that. And like our friendship.
I always thought he picked you up.
I told him.
You told him because he was just producing a TV show. He wasn't touring.
Yeah, he had just.
He could do a little bit, but it wasn't like to that level.
It wasn't that level.
No, it wasn't that. And people don't know is that stand-up wasn't in rock clubs at that moment.
No.
Stand-up was still in nerdy 80s style.
I like to, Rob, you know, usually women don't like to pat themselves on the back, but I like to say, you know what? I freaking asked him to do that tour. We did one, and then he called his agent, and he's like, I want to do this again and make an album called So Pop. Like, meaning like in 2 months, let's do another tour.
Called So
And he was like, I want to do this tour. I want this band with me. Let's do it. And I will say I was integral to saying, let's do this. And then when I came here, I befriended, like, at that time it was like Leo Allen and Eugene Merman and Dimitri Martin. They were my friends when I moved here, and they had never done a tour. And I was like, all right, I will set this up for us. I got some schools. They had never done it. And that was like, yeah, right? And so that was like that thing, you know, and that was like, what, 2003 and 4 maybe, you know? But like, that's the scene here. I'm sure.
It was electric. I was around.
Yeah.
I was coming in from San Francisco, and I just got off with TV, so I had a little bit of, like, the first couple times I tried New York, I got kicked out. I only made it like a couple months, and I moved back to San Francisco. And finally got a TV credit, and I came to town, and guess what? It was still tough. And so, but I remember, I have relationships with David. I did shows with David, but I was a huge Tenacious D, and Mr. Cross was a big deal for me to get into comedy.
Me too.
I remember watching
Tenacious
Mr.
D,
Show.
that's right.
Mr. Show, and now they're so blown out and mainstream a bit, but I remember that being like this weird, like, little thing, and then everybody just was like, oh, that shit's funny.
Right.
That shit's weird.
Right.
And I was like, so I would love to get like some of those guys on the podcast.
And that's
it's
like
weird. It was a different scene.
Yeah. Well, that's that thing what you're saying about those little things. I feel like we're connected. Like, I literally had said when David was at that show, at the moment, I had met every rock star that even Mick. I was like Mick Jagger. I met him at my sister's graduation because his daughter graduated with her. So it's like I had been around everybody.
You knew the deal, yeah.
I was like, we both looked at each other, Michelle and I, who like to laugh, my partner in the band, and we're like, this is exactly who we want to meet. And those friendships, you being my friend, I saw you on stage, and I was like, that is my people. I got to be friends with them, and we're friends. And that, you feel it, you know it, you know.
No, my 2 guys were like Mitch Hedberg and Orange Barker. Those were my 2 guys that I looked up to, that I saw when I first started out. I was like, those guys that's the fucking style.
Yes.
That's the funk that I like.
Yeah.
And those guys both took me out on tour, and it helped me along the way.
See?
It's just like, that's how, no, it does go through friendship.
Yeah.
It goes through a love, because you just love the certain things. I think David loves punk rock.
Yeah.
He loved all that Atlanta early.
He supports women. I mean, you know, and then we just all about laughing and having a good time.
Yeah, he's one of the funniest cats out there.
Yeah, it was definitely a life-changing sort of thing in my life, because I always knew music was a part of my life. Being someone who always loved funny people and liked to laugh, and my own self and my friends, I didn't know I would get here and they would be like, why don't you, do you want to help produce this comedy show? And then meeting all those women that I love, and like you were saying, Variety Shac. It's Shac, which is Shonali, Andrea Rosen, Chelsea Peretti, and Heather Lawless. And to this day, I don't think there's any group like us. I don't care.
I watched a couple of them early. They still stand up.
Thank you.
I would say you're still funny, because you watch old shit sometimes and you're like, oh, this shit's whack.
Yeah.
No, it's still good.
We literally, because of this, because now with some, perspective and moving on, doing different things, they're all in LA. We all were like, wait, this is still good. So we did, before the pandemic, we did 2 more films.
Oh, nice.
So it's like, we still exist. We just don't perform right now. We were going to do some more shows.
Yeah. You guys come together. The girls come together. The Shac comes together. And, the Beehive, Chelsea's out there in the Hollywood Hills. You're down the Lower East Side, grinding out.
I got a text from Fred Armisen during this time being like, I gotta tell you, I'm spending all Saturday watching your Shac videos. He's like, you guys, he doesn't say y'all, I say y'all. Y'all are my inspiration. Like, you guys are big inspiration to me. I was like, I know that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I was like, you need to tell more people that though, Fred, because dude, you gotta recognize the women.
Yeah, you recognize. We're gonna get a movie. We're gonna get TV. This podcast but I do want not to drop drop and all that stuff. But what I find interesting about you, and it is a connection to David Cross, is that you guys are from the South.
Yes.
And there's not that many Southerners in stand-up, especially not in New York scene. So it's cool when you find them. And I always say, the coolest people I know are non-racist Southerners. Thank you, Dude, I don't. But that might be just because that's where I'm from, or that's where a lot of it's just the low keyness. I just like the low key.
I have to agree. I've had this conversation. My co-host of my podcast, Christian, he's biracial, right? He's half Haitian and half Irish Catholic. And we had this talk about race and racism.
Yeah, I don't want to go deep.
Yeah,
but we gotta be real.
But I just was like, I gotta say that my white, non-racist friends from the South are like much more like get it than any of my white friends from anywhere else. They are so cool and proactive about just being good to people, and I was just like, it's a whole other level. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah, the ones that get it, it's a whole other thing because they're from the South. They deal with it.
They've seen it in its real form.
Yeah.
And I saw it in its real form.
Yeah.
And so if you have compassion in your soul. And not to go Jesus-y, but just Christianity is if you're gonna do it for real,
that's it.
If you're gonna do it for real,
you gotta. That's the thing. Here, I mean, hey, I love
do
people.
It everybody, right? Whatever works for you.
But you can see, I think a lot of times here, people preach without actually doing the work, right? I'm like, you live in an exclusive white community, you've never hung out with a person of color, and you're talking crap about people down south. You don't even know because you haven't done the work. That kind of stuff.
People don't know if they've never been there. That's what you kind of got to give them, I didn't understand. And I love New York.
Yeah, I love New York.
After I've lived here for 15 years, I think I just understand New Yorkers, and I sympathize with the hustle.
Yes.
Because it's on all day, every day, as we know.
Yeah.
That's how you have to survive.
Yeah, nonstop.
And when you're from the South, it's not on all day.
No, that's true.
So it does
is true.
teach you that, and there's good, hard-working, compassionate people in New York, in New Jersey, Philly, everywhere. There's good people.
Yes, totally. Man, I mean, we wouldn't be here if there wasn't. No doubt. It's just like, I'm making fun of literally like some of my super liberal male comedian friends who because of me, like I feel like a purpose for me to be here is to spread this with them, right? And they're like, oh shit, you're calling me out. It's true. I need to work on that, and it's cool. That is one of the best things, is like having friends that will listen, like, let's make this happen. But New York is so awesome. I feel like it's such an extension to me of the South in that people are nice, right? They are nice in the South. New Yorkers might be more abrupt and straight up, but you would not live here if you didn't like people, because you're around people, a million people
all the time.
And if you live here, you like people and you want to know, you make new friends all the time, you meet cool people all the time.
I'm blown just coming here on the subway, just seeing people.
It's so awesome, and that, it's mind-blowing. It is.
It's the cool part of America, not to go national, but it's just the cool part of America that it's so diverse.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Like I saw an Orthodox dude next to like a billionaire yuppie dude, and then a skateboard. You know, it's just like everybody.
Everybody.
You don't get that everywhere.
No.
You don't get that.
No.
There's only a couple places in the universe you get that.
Totally.
That's this place.
That's right.
That's why you got to respect it.
Totally.
You gotta give it respect.
My
you
God.
have to love it all the time.
Oh my God, my husband will never leave. You know, he's from Oregon.
Oh, he won't leave.
He's just like I get anxious if I'm gone from New York for too long. He likes to travel, but he's just like, if you take him upstate even, right? You'll go visit friends. We have all these people out places.
Upstate, I dig it up
He'll go up there, and then like for a little while he's like, oh my God, I have flashbacks in my small town, Oregon, where he got called. He'd be like, if you skateboard, you get called a faggot.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? In Nashville, we don't. He's like, you're from a city.
Yeah.
I am from
a little town.
Sticks in Oregon. I was like, that's wild.
I'm Buena Vista, Virginia, out of 5,000.
So
it's different, anything artistic or out of the box is looked upon kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then, the roughnecks and the bullies do what they do.
I just didn't know. I guess I just thought it was all Portland.
Nashville's nice.
Yes.
And it's diverse. That's what's
it's diverse.
We're giving a shout out to Nashville.
Yes,
they
Nashville.
Got cool Indian chicks that play guitar. And what's your favorite Nirvana song? Or are you over them? Is it done?
No, you know what?
Or does it still read?
You know what?
Is it too dark? Sometimes I think it's too dark.
I was a college DJ at Vanderbilt in Nashville. And when Bleach came out, I played that album. I was like,
you did?
I played it out the get-go. We were just
nice.
and at the time I was like, I want to move to Seattle. These people. And then when Nevermind came out, I was living in Memphis. It was like Memphis.
Which is also cool.
And I got to see that tour in a cool venue.
God.
Yeah.
Was that with the Chili Peppers?
They were headlining. It was like Nevermind. They headlined. It was just
they were headlining.
It was
I remember the tour where there was like, it was the Smashing Pumpkins, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Nirvana, in small like 1,000-seat. I was a freshman and I didn't go. I remember I wanted to, but I didn't buy the tickets or whatever. And I said I should have gone to that show. I never saw them.
It was so awesome.
You saw them on the Nevermind
tour, and then I even saw them.
And they blew it down. Do you remember?
I remember one of the coolest things is like this woman. I will never forget her. This woman just got on stage and started doing this crazy like hippie ballet dancing, but it was awesome, and she was just.
And they were letting her do it.
Yeah,
I love that.
And we were up close, and it's just like it felt good. And then I remember like 2 years later, they were playing in these huge venues, and actually Urge Overkill was opening, and it was like, I hate to say, I want everyone to succeed and to do well. But for me personally, I like being in a 1,000 is like my
me too.
I just, that's my thing. And if I can use my money, which I didn't have much back then, to go see a band in a 1,000 seat. I saw Radiohead in a 1,000 seat
like
venue.
350.
500. Bowery Ballroom is my prime. That's
what's
to
that?
me.
650.
Yeah, I think it's like 550, maybe. It's like, and it's got the that's my love. But exactly, so I didn't seek out seeing Nirvana after that. It's on the Masquerade, which was like 1,000 maybe. But man, what I remember is when the album After Nevermind came out, I could feel Kurt not being proud of his songwriting, even though it's amazing lyricist.
Yes.
He's amazing, because I could hear the same chord progressions, and I knew he was just like, I got to get this out. My label wants this. I knew he was disappointed with it. People are going to hate me for this, but I knew it, because I could feel it. I could feel those songs.
You play guitar.
And I was like, he's not, I mean, look, they're better than most anybody's songs.
I know what you're saying. That Bleach album was so dope, and I love just the cover. So that made a good imprint on you as a garage rocker. You were like, he's not doing it for real.
Yeah, and I knew he knew it. Like, I felt for him. I could feel like, oh my God, he's going to be upset with himself and think this is like some commercial sellout stuff. Because you knew on Nevermind, Smells Like Teen Spirit is a song about hating his audience, right?
Yeah.
It's about that. It's just like, I feel like a clown up here on stage. And then you get to this next album, and I was like, oh no. I mean, I still used to listen to it all the time. And then you get to Foo Fighters, and then Dave Grohl, he started doing that too. And he's a gazillionaire, so good for him. But
I don't hate on Dave Grohl. I don't hate on any of that. I mean,
I think he's an awesome person
and a great musician. I'm just talented. I'm just of his work ethic.
Yeah.
And then how he lines it up is just very clean and mean, and just get it done, push it out there. It's a lot like AC/DC, like Bill. I was thinking like Bill Burr is like AC/DC, like it's just like wow, and that sometimes you need. That's good, and especially if you're in the business of putting something out there. But if you want to play 500, if you want to get more experimental or weird, get a beat machine involved.
I think it's like a compliment to Dave Grohl, and that what I'm saying is like I know he misses that aspect. Like he would have if he could have, remember how freaking Garth Brooks had like Chris Gaines, he had an alter ego where he could do something else. It's like, I know if Dave Grohl could do that too, and like somehow not be himself, because that is so fun, right?
It's so fun.
It's so fun. It's just
as a guy that plays just regular comedy clubs, but then I get to go and get my freak on at weird rooms, and I get in my head, like now I've been like, okay, Rob, you gotta get on TV, let's get an opener, you gotta do an opener, you have to have an opening joke. And so I do that, and I'm just not as funny. And then I go and where I'm just letting it loose, and I'm like, they might not see me, but this shit's really funny.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
I know.
Right? Like, you know the difference. Like, even watching
I can feel the difference, and I've had success in both arenas, and you can tell where it can go puppetry a little bit.
Yes.
But everybody's got to make a buck, and businesses that got to get done. And,
right. I
would definitely see all the. I would go see a Foo Fighters show. I would go see, Bill Burr show. I'm all for it.
I've seen many Foo Fighters shows. That's just the artist in me. Like, hope. I want everyone to like enjoy what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Cross paths with White Stripes. That was about that time.
So yeah, I've seen them definitely in small rooms. The friendships with them. I'm friends with the rhythm section, the Raconteurs. They used to be a band.
The Greenhorns.
Greenhorns. Those are some of my brothers in rock and roll.
And they were from Ohio.
They're from Ohio.
And you did the circuit with those cats.
Yeah. In fact, I invited them to do some of the dates we did with David Cross. And so we had so much fun. So on that tour, they did some of those dates. We stayed friends all this time. So the bass player, his name is Jack Lawrence.
Jack Lawrence,
And
shout out.
he's awesome. He's so fun. He's got that cool, like, crazy bob hair, and he just got these big giant glasses. He's such a good bass player. I've seen him play with other bands. Dead Weather he played.
Oh, yeah, great.
And then
I was going to say, rhythm section is dope because it's the basses and the drums, which I love.
They are
now,
amazing.
so were those cats known as like the best?
They are two of the best. And
that's why they got picked up?
Patrick Keeler is the drummer, and we were in the same scene. And first time I saw them play is in Detroit. We did this festival called Gutter Fest, and there's a bowling alley. It's called the Magic Stick, where we all play.
Yeah, totally.
And we had a festival. I was in the Manor Astroman female clone band, which is like that surf rock crazy band. So they recruited a bunch of awesome women that played in that. So we played, and we headlined, and they were in the other band. And that was Friendship right away, and then Detroit was where the White Stripes were. So they were all in that singing. It's garage rock. So Jack,
you got to get that
Jack
rhythm
White's,
section and get them to back you on a track.
Definitely.
With you singing on guitar.
This is, I think about going to record in Atlanta and Nashville for this next album, and like getting all these musicians that
just for a day to goof it and see if they'll just sign this, just let me have this bass track.
Totally. They're definitely like awesome like that. But it is fun.
Friendships.
So when they played here during the pandemic, so I did go. I think during.
I remember you telling me this.
And it's so much fun. So I got
King's Theater, right?
It was. They did do a King's Theater, but they did a Manhattan one. Roseland. They did Roseland.
You saw that.
Yeah. And then we all hung out. So there was like a party after. So I got to, hang with the, Jack White in that scenario where I'm talking to him about Nashville, and we have the mutual friends and that stuff. I've seen him around for a long time.
Yeah, musicians, the same thing with comedians. It's like you just run into these cats and you kind of,
And you know what? He's someone I think that's getting to do what he loves. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's still stuck to his thing, and I don't feel like I'm missing out. And you know what? He isn't, because he always comes up with another side project that he does, so he gets it all out,
I think that's where you're trying to get to, and I'm trying to get to. As an artist, you just want to get to a secure place, finance everything, and then you can just go ham.
Yes.
And start like doing these.
And include all my friends.
Include all my friends.
Like Rob, I want you in anything. If any show I pitch gets picked up, I want you in it. You know what I'm saying?
Same.
That's what I'm talking about. It's about that, It's the only way it's fun.
Yeah, it's the way it's fun, and working with people that kind of get you and understand.
Yeah.
Shonali, is there anything? We'll wrap it up. I know you're busy.
Yes.
And you're running around.
Well, I was just going to tell you.
Plug your website, all that stuff, even if it's cheesy.
Well, one is I'm so honored to be here. I just want to say, like, I've spent my life. My best friends are all stoners, most all of them. Yeah. And what's really funny is I'm not, but because of it, I just never have a clue. So I'll be like, so I didn't know for 10 years in one relationship before Jasper. That I had no idea that my boyfriend was considered the biggest stoner of them all. I was like, what? And they were like, no, don't you notice? Because when he would smoke, I didn't know that was a lot. Do you know what I'm saying? I was like, what? And these are from other stoners. So I really love still being that person that's like, okay, so I'm still asking questions all this time. Stoners are awesome.
No. I will attest to that, Shonali, because I did hit a joint before I got here, right outside before meeting you. And when you first meet somebody, we usually see each other at night, so it's like daytime. And you were a lot of fun. The vibe was like, usually, sometimes when you're stoned, like, oh man, this person's too much right now. No, you talk about rock and roll, talk about comedy, you're having chai latte. I said, you want a chai latte? Hell yeah, I want a chai latte. Hell yeah, I want an oatmeal cookie.
It's all so good.
Yeah, it's all
well,
so
I'm so excited to be on here. Let me just tell everybody, my Insta is Shonali Bhowmik. It's at Shonali Bhowmik, but I have a band called Tigers and Monkeys. We're at Tigers and Monkeys Music. We have 3 albums out, working on a new one.
Stream it on Spotify.
Yeah, it's on Spotify. My old band was called Ultra Baby Fat. It was 3 women and a guy, and we rocked. Actually, 2 and 2. Anyway, it's like now it's funny because all these kids love that band. Like now I'm like coming up to teenagers that are into that. It's all cool how like, I mean, you know, people.
If you do good
kids
art, it'll stick around a little longer.
It's true. You know.
You did some good shit.
Thank you. It is crazy. Everybody's dressing like the 90s, so listen to 90s music. Cool. That's cool. That was my 90s rock and roll band. So.
Dude, we're Gen X to the core. I mean, we can, with these zingers and all this new stuff, I don't know. I like Gen X.
I'm down. I agree.
We still got a little bit of an edge to us, but we're not as judgmental. And
True that.
yeah, even though we're getting old.
It's never gonna happen.
Yeah, but I'm snorting turmeric, prove me and all right. All right, Shonali, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Love.
Peace and love.
Thank you.